Hello and welcome back to Europa. It's day 16, and since the last episode the game received quite a few updates, the biggest of which being the gases update, which has added a number of new substances. Most of those come from space mining and traders, so they're a ways off for this playthrough. However, a relevant change is that the volatile ice now is about 90% methane and 10% hydrogen. So a lot of the combustion that's going to happen in the furnace from now on is going to be methane combustion. And up on screen you have the diagram of the new methane reactions. But before we get to any of the other stuff, the potatoes from last time are finally seeded. So I'm going to grab the seeds from all three plants and save those as backup. Then use the potatoes themselves to reseed the trays. And let's turn the light on to help them grow. Now I'm gonna need a microwave, and to use the microwave I need a table, so I'm gonna build those. However, meanwhile, I also made a second large battery. I'm gonna slot it into the APC so that I have a ready large battery to swap into my suit whenever I need it. Okay, the table gets made on the auto lathe. So we're gonna need iron and copper for that. And I believe the microwave is on the electronics printer. Yep. Let's make that as well. We're gonna want a refrigerator. Fridge large. I need to grab the iron from the auto lathe. And we can put the kitchen right by this window. It's getting pretty cramped in this base, so we'll have to expand soon. Okay, microwave is built. Now let's make the fridge as well. Place that with T and grab a wrench to lock it in place. And the fridge can go next to it. The power port is on its left side, so my right. Okay, let's connect these up. We'll start with the fridge. They're just connected. Now the table needs a power connection as well. What did I do with the potatoes? There they are. Okay, put a potato in the microwave and get some food. The other two can go into the refrigerator and turn that on. Just in time, getting a hunger caution. So let's eat some baked potato. And put the leftovers in the fridge. I'm gonna grab a drink as well. And swap my battery. Now that that's taken care of, let's take a look at the next project. This pile of floor stuff is what we're going to be using for that. One of the big pain points has been that the furnace gets cooled a lot, the contents freeze, as you've seen in the past. So I want to insulate it. Years ago, you used to be able to stick the furnace inside the solid frame and weld it up, and that used to give it perfect insulation. That has been changed long ago. So now, the best way I can think of is to give it its own little enclosure with an atmosphere that will sort of equalize with the internal temperature and serve as a buffer. So we've got some building to do and relocate the furnace in there. Let's grab some of these things. And go outside to build. And I forgot to close my helmet. Okay, now that that's closed, let's go outside. First up, I'm gonna lay down some frames because I want to expand this area. And over here will be the enclosure for the furnace. The one that's right under the furnace and the one right above the furnace, I'm gonna double weld, since that will need to be airtight. Then I'm gonna use 4 windows, so I can see what the setup is inside if I need to change any pipes or wires. And prepare a spot. Let's get the furnace disassembled. And this time I'm gonna place it right side up, since we'll be using chutes to feed it anyway. And I want it to be just inside the frame. That way it's... Oh, that's too far. Okay, perfect. Centered and just inside the frame. That way I'll be able to access its front panel from outside the frame through the window. Let's put some plastic on these walls. And for the moment, I'll put the glass just on the front. There we go. The button and pressure gauge and all that and the open lever stick out through the glass, but this will still count as being inside this cube. We can also disassemble some of the piping from the old setup. And start connecting it to the furnace. The output is on the top port, so I'm going to take that and run it over. let's think, where am I gonna put the valve, the pump to empty it? I think on the lower part. Or no, I probably want to do the ejection port, the ejection chute on the bottom. Let's arrange that first. It's going to be easier to visualize. Grab some chutes. And we'll go in this direction with the outlet. No, that's a little bit too far back. I'm gonna be putting a wall here, so I want it to stick out through the wall. What do this? Yeah, that's where things will exit the furnace. And I'm gonna set up the walls. So it's easier to see how things are looking. That'll be the outlet for the furnace. Now for the inlet, I want to have it on this side. I want to have it at about stationeer height so that I can toss things in it easily. And then we'll do a corner chute, grab some more chutes, and connect it up. That is it for the chutes. Now, let's see, the volume pump, which is gonna empty the furnace. I can put that up there, and now that gives me a reference point to how I want to run this piping. This can go like that into the chamber and down to connect with the output. Over on the bottom we have the input, which I'm gonna leave piping for just in case I will use it in the future to push gaseous fuel rather than feeding it by hand. And we also have the liquid output in case we need to collect any condensed water or anything like that out of it. I'm gonna connect that up. It is, I want to avoid having to open that sealed chamber later on if I can help it. Okay, these consoles I'm gonna use to monitor the pressure and the temperature in the furnace, because that's easier to see than having to put my mouse over the dial. There they go. And I'm gonna set up 2 more, which are intended to show me the pressure in the room and the temperature in the room. Speaking of pressure in the room, I'm gonna need a way to connect a vent to evacuate the gases from the room. So let's set that up there. I'm gonna use these insulated pipes, the utility kits, to put an inline tank. That's gonna give it more volume, so when the inside equalizes with the passive vent, more gas will move all at once. And up here we will do... Oh, that is on the wrong side. I built all this on the wrong side because the output is over here. I don't know. Okay, so that one is a secondary way to outgas the furnace if I want to just dump the gases into the atmosphere. And this will be for the room. I got confused there. This actually was correct. And I'm gonna reuse this active vent for room pressurization and depressurization. Yeah, it looks like I forgot one necessary thing, and that is a gas sensor, so that I can monitor the temperature and pressure in the room. Let's quickly make one of those. The potatoes got light for a while there, so let's let them rest a little bit. And we need a sensor kit. And this sensor kit is going to be an atmospheric sensor inside the room. And the furnace has this data port, and that's what's going to give me information about the pressure and temperature inside the furnace to display on those consoles that I set up. Okay, that connects the furnace, the sensor, and 2 consoles. And then up here, we want to connect these ones as well. Okay, those are connected. Now this connects to that other passive vent or active vent. And here I'm going to connect to the volume pump. Okay, theoretically everything is wired up now inside the room and with the furnace. And I just need to connect the whole setup to power. That volume pump isn't needed for now. Clean up this cable a little bit. Okay, let's see if we've got power. We do have power. So let's configure these. Okay, right side we'll do temperature. And we'll use the furnace for that. Then over here, pressure is good. And I want to use the furnace as well. Let's see if we can push some. Okay, that's flashing an error, meaning I did not connect its pipe correctly. I did not connect its pipe at all. And it pushed some gases into the furnace. That's properly connected. And yeah, you can, on the regular furnace, you can push the gases in through the output. Only the advanced furnace is one way only on the output. Okay. That will empty out. Let's see if this is... Yep, it's powered. And we can configure these two. Again, on the right side we'll do temperature. Here I want the gas sensor, not the furnace. And we'll do pressure on the left with the gas sensor as well. Right now that's just displaying the atmospheric because the box is not closed. Let's close up the box. Now I can reduce the pressure inside the chamber so that when the furnace heats up and heats up that atmosphere in there, it's not going to burst the windows. So the windows only hold up to 200 kilopascal pressure difference. So we could go out to 240 or so, considering the ambient is 43. And when that atmosphere heats up to, let's say, 1200, 1500 kind of degrees Celsius, it's going to expand to a lot more than that. In fact, I'm going to pop some numbers into the calculator to see what pressure I should start with to make sure I don't go overboard and pop the windows. So it looks that if I would want to have 210 kilopascals at 1600 degrees Celsius, I would need to have 13.92 kilopascals at negative 149. So we need to empty more of the atmosphere in there. There, 13.3. That should be fine. And this finished emptying the furnace. So let's give it a test. Yeah, I'm gonna waste some fuel, but I'll get things heating up as well. And one oxide. Let's do a little test here. There we go. The furnace is going up towards 1400 or so Celsius, and the room is heating up. It's already in the positives. Pressure growing as it goes. The furnace itself is losing temperature now because it's heating up the atmosphere inside the cube. So let's take a look at what's in the furnace now. We have some methane, we still have a little bit of hydrogen, oxygen, those didn't fully react yet. And the output is pretty normal, carbon dioxide, pollutant, a little bit of nitrogen that came out of the oxide, and some water from the combustion of the hydrogen. Now that the temperature inside the room and the furnace are almost equalized, the furnace isn't really cooling too much more. Eventually they'll reach equilibrium and the furnace will stop losing heat. So this way, the furnace temperatures are going to be a lot more stable. Now, I got a warning that my air tank is running low, so let's refill that. I have this modified airlock setup, and I have a canister that's mostly empty. So let's switch up the valves and fill up that canister with some ambient oxygen. It's gonna have carbon dioxide mixed in it, but that's okay. The filters in my suit will take care of that. And that's primed for a refill next time. The suit needs more battery. And I may as well have a quick drink. If I'm in here drinking, may as well eat some potato. Now, with the added consumption of the fridge and microwaving and the consoles, my battery is starting to go down. So we need to set up for more power generation. For that, I want to go with the full-size wind turbines, meaning I first need an electronics printer mod. Looks like we need some steel, Constantan, solder, and the electrum that's already in the printer. So I'm gonna grab some of those. The solder, I'm gonna toss the entirety of it in there. The Constantan, I'm gonna split it into 50. that in. And steel, I want to cut 50 off of it, so I'm going to pulse that real quick and then eject the remainder 150. Meanwhile, let's take a look at that furnace outside and also turn off the consoles while I'm not using the furnace. So the two have essentially equalized, and now they're not losing any more temperature, which is exactly what I wanted to achieve here. Let's turn these off for now. With the furnace staying at 1000 degrees Celsius, I don't feel the need to empty it out right now. Let's see about that printer mod. And the mod is done, so I'm going to use the screwdriver and install it on the electronics printer. Now we can take a look at the turbines. I want this wind turbine, so it's using 5 electrum, 20 steel, 10 copper. So I do have in there sufficient materials for 3 of them. We'll go with that. I'm gonna need some heavy cable coil, or maybe I would want the new super heavy cable coil. Regardless, I'm gonna need some steel frames. Let's split that up and get auto lathe making the frames. Wind turbines, they do need some materials to be assembled. They need the kit, 5 steel sheets, and 5 cable coils. So I'm going to want 15 steel sheets just for the wind turbines. And I'm going to need more cable coils probably. And we're on the last wind turbine, so let's take a look at the new cable. It's the super heavy cable coil. It's made out of electrum and constantan. And this one I believe goes to 500,000 watts. Let's see. Super heavy cable straight. Yeah, it can carry 500,000 watts or 500 kilowatts. So it may be useful to use as the backbone for the power supply. That way I don't have to replace that later. So let's get a bunch of that made as well. And this is enough frames. I do want more steel sheets. And while the coils are being made, I'm gonna hop in the shower. Nice and clean, keeping the Stationeer happy. We're at 17 steel sheets. I want at least 13 for my steel frames, and I need 15 for the turbines. So 28 is the minimum that I want to print. I have more electrum. I do have another 50 units of electrum, so I figure I'll use all of it to make cable. Now let's put away some of the things that I don't need right now, like the plastic walls and glass. Okay, 36 steel sheets. And I'm gonna want to make a tool printer as well. That requires 20 iron, 10 copper. And I might be low on iron. 4 grams in there, 57 in here. Yeah, well, eject it from the electronics printer and we can make a tool manufactory. Because I was noticing that the fuel in my welder is getting kind of low. And rather than building a fuel setup, I figure I'm just gonna make myself an arc welder instead. The tool manufactory is built, so I'm outside. Let's set it up. We simply ran out of space indoors, so for the moment I'm just gonna put it over here. There's power right there. I figure that's a good enough place for it. So let's make an arc welder. It's gonna need steel, electrum, invar, and solder. And I brought all of those with me. And the arc welder is ready. I guess that spare suit battery that I made at the beginning of this episode is gonna get pressed into service for the arc welder, since it's quite the hungry tool. That means I also don't need the welding torch with me anymore, but I'm not gonna put it in the locker inside, just in case this base ever gets hot enough to ignite that. Although I believe regular fuel now only auto ignites at 300, not at 50. Yeah, that's methane plus oxygen, as we saw on the reaction chart. So that should not auto-ignite till 300. I guess I will take the risk, and I will leave it inside. In the past, this has resulted in turning my base into a very large explosion. But things should be better now. And my suit battery could use some charging. Let's see if I have enough to make another large battery. I do. Okay, that'll charge for the next time my suit needs more battery. For now, we'll be ending the episode here. And next time we'll be upgrading the power generation and seeing what other quality of life improvements we can make. I'm thinking I would like to get one of the pneumatic drills and start using that instead of my original starter drill. For now, I'll let you out.